Welcome back to the VHS Vault. I am VHS Jace, and that is Jason Roy Gaston, and we are back. We are back in the game. Jason's even getting changed for us. Check it out. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Yes, I had to take off my colorful shirt because I wanted to make it look like we had recorded this on a different day and not immediately after our last show. So thanks for calling me out. I appreciate that. You have ruined the illusion.
Oh, man, I feel like those people at the end of Wizard of Oz now. All right. This week, Jace, we have got a real cracker to talk about. But before we announce what that is, I want everybody to remember to please subscribe, like, share, do all that wonderful stuff. We're desperate here. We need validation, and you're the guys to do it for us. So now, let's talk about what we're talking about this week. And that is, to me, a film I saw in the cinema, and that is War Games, Jace. War Games.
War Games.
Yeah. Had you not loved yourself some War Games?
I have not seen this movie since at least the mid-'80s. I watched
1983, it came out.
Yep. I watched this movie in the mid-'80s whenever it was on Showtime, because that's where every movie I watched came from. And whenever I watched it earlier today, it was the first time I've seen it since then. And I have thoughts. I have many thoughts.
There you go. If you haven't noticed, guys, I am plugging the previous show that we just recorded because I haven't changed.
It's almost like we just got finished filming it, isn't it?
Yeah, I just noticed that as well. But you know what? It's a great show, so you should be checking it out. So I'm going to leave it up there for
It's
the whole
great.
thing. All right, War Games, 1983. Got dragged to go and see this at the cinema. Right? I used to get taken to a lot of films. This was one of them. This film in 1983, Jason, scared the bejeebies out of me. And I've got to say why.
Same.
10 years old in 1983, we are in the peak of Cold War nuclear hysteria.
Yep.
This is the same year the day after came out. And on the news every night, it was like, get ready, get under your school desks, get to your bunker, it's going to go down. So this really affected me as a kid. When I watched it a few years later, I developed a real love for it because it's about 85% an excellent film. So going back recently, the last couple of days, it was fun to kind of go back and have a look at it. What were your early... Well, you kind of agreed with me. You said it scared the crap out of you. What were your memories of first seeing it?
Well, I think whenever you brought up The Day After, that's it right there. I remember watching The Day After, and then a few days later, War Games came on, and I'm just thinking we're all going to die someday. You know, oh, get underneath your school desk. You'll be fine. No, they should have just said go out into the playground and just hold your arms open and just wait for the inevitable. So, yeah, the whole prospect of a thermonuclear war was on all of our minds. We honestly thought that's how civilization was going to end. And then it didn't. And movies like War Games kind of became a interesting artifact of the time. As I said, I watched it. You said 85% good. I'm actually looking at it more of a satire now than anything else. And I don't know if that's intentional or unintentional, but I would say 95% good. I would actually argue that this is Matthew Broderick's best movie. And I do not care for Matthew Broderick at all. Wow. I'm going to take that back. Take that back. Ferris Bueller is his best movie.
Just about to.
This one is his second best. Ferris Bueller just left, and as soon as I said this was his best movie, Ferris Bueller's head went around the bathroom door. It was like, "Excuse me? No, this is his second best movie." I don't care for Matthew Broderick, but I thought he was really good in this movie.
Look, he is. There's a lot of real standout people in this film, which we'll kind of get through as we go through it. But let's start off. One of the earlier clips in this is the opening.
Oh,
and do you not notice a young Michael Madsen right there?
I did not notice. Look at that.
That is, in fact, a young Michael Madsen working in the bunker. And I tell you what, the start of that film, that is a great way to set up a film. Right?
Yes, it is.
Great way. Tension. There's something happening. It's very contained, so we're not seeing anything but what's happening in that room. It was great. It was great. However, I'm going to tell you what my biggest problem with this film is, and it starts immediately after this scene ends.
It's Broderick,
it's the
isn't it?
score.
Oh,
It's the
yeah.
music in this film is horrible. I had never noticed it before, but I'm watching and going, where did they get these music cues from? Because they go into an army base, and it sounds like the theme from Police Academy playing.
Yeah.
Like, there are times
immediately, yeah.
Yeah, there are times throughout this movie where the music does not do justice for what is happening on the screen. Because what's happening on the screen, the performances are great. Are really great. And you mentioned young Matthew Broderick. Yeah, I don't know if this is his first film. It's definitely early in his career. But he's a magnet on screen, isn't he?
He is,
You are
yes.
locked into him. It's also backed up with the wonderful, and one of her strongest performances too was actually this young Ali Sheedy here.
Oh, yes.
Who is just delightful in this film. Just that smile alone. It's just what a cute kid, you know. Their chemistry is so great. And it works kind of really, really well. Are you shocked at how simple this movie is? Plot-wise?
I remember the plot being a lot more complicated as a kid, but now as I watch it with, mature adult failing eyes, I see that it is actually a very simple story. And I love how the theme is immediately put towards the audience whenever the drill happens at the very beginning. And then immediately after the police academy opening, you hear that it was just a drill. It's a fake out inside of a fake out inside of a fake out. Nothing seems to be real in this movie. And I mean that in the best possible way. Everybody is pretending to be somebody they're not. Everything is pretending to be something they're not. And it's all because we don't have human communication with each other. And I thought, how great that is.
That's such a great point. It is. It's a tale of miscommunication in many ways.
Indeed.
And look, there's the real villain of this movie is the Whopper. Title from to call it the Whopper, but
do you know why they called it the Whopper? Right? It's because the computer that actually existed at the time that predicted patterns in a possible thermonuclear war was called Burger.
Ah, there you go.
So there you go.
That works.
Yeah. So it's the satire. I love it.
Yeah. You know, you say this film is a kind of a slice of the time. And you know what's interesting about this film, which is great? Even though it is very much about technology in 1983, it hasn't aged poorly. Like, the tech of the time doesn't interfere the way they execute this film. It kind of works. It's quaint. It's cute. It's great for him, seeing him dialing into, his school. Dialing in to change the grades. It's great, It's a very slice of the time. I mean, look at the disk drive in the background and all that kind of stuff in his room right there. But you get the point. I mean, it's really old tech,
There was one part that bothered me. It's whenever Ali Sheedy sat down at the computer and goes, Don't touch the keyboard. I'm not touching it. And then she asked how it works, and he said, oh, it communicates over the phone lines. And then he picks up the phone and lets her listen to the tones. Anybody who connected to the internet in the 1980s knows that if you did that, you severed your connection.
Yeah.
This movie is ruined.
But I will say it was the first introduction I had to something called the internet.
Oh, me too. They didn't even call it the internet back then. It was just,
I had no idea.
I think they called it a network. Yeah. It was great.
But his whole motivation, remember, Matthew Broderick's motivation in this is literally because, he's a gamer kid who's,
I love that shot.
Master of Gallagher.
Yeah, this shot with his reflection in the screen is so good.
Well, you know what? It represents what he's doing. He's playing a war game. Yeah. And it's kind of foretelling what the movie is at its core about. Excellent. Yeah. Excellent.
They actually sent that arcade machine to Matthew Broderick's house about a month before shooting began so he could practice on it and get really good at it.
Oh,
so
really?
He could sit there and play on it. Yeah.
Oh, good on him.
So Matthew Broderick went through some stuff while this movie was being filmed. So
right,
I'm not a big fan of the man, but he did go through some stuff, especially as a young man. His father actually passed away during the production of this movie.
Oh,
And so
that's
that
horrible to hear.
was more than anybody ever deserved. So the fact that
I am going
this
to
is one
say
of
this
the
about.
best performances is something to be said.
Well, I'm going to I would say that Matthew Broderick's career, he does a triple play in these 3 films, I think. He's great in this. He's great in Biloxi Blues. I don't know if you've ever seen that film.
I've never seen that one, no.
Where he plays a World War II soldier. Wonderful film. Based on a play, I believe. One of your great playwriters, Neil Simon. Neil Simon play. It's based on. He's excellent. And, of course, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So he's definitely a talent. And you know what works so well for him, though? It's he expresses without having to express much. Like, there's a moment here where he's looking into the list of games, right? And if we can kind of get to the part, there's a moment where he actually discovers some of the games on there. And this moment here, which I love because it dawns on him, hang on a minute, something ain't right. Look at, theater-wide biotoxic stuff, global thermonuclear war. This isn't Gallagher. And you kind of feel like something is off here, which is great. What he doesn't know is why he's initiated the game on a level he doesn't understand.
Yeah, I thought that was, I don't know, I love the fact that this is all basically accidental. And one interesting thing about this movie is that this was shown to Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan apparently loved the movie and then turned around and proposed the Computer Mischief Act, which was the first law that made hacking illegal.
Wow.
So War Games was responsible for a federal law.
Life imitating art. There
Indeed.
You go. Yeah, and Reagan did love his movie. I'm surprised he didn't quote it later in the speech.
He might well, at one point, he almost got us into World War III because he was joking about nuclear missiles flying over a satellite feed, and the Russians heard him. And so, that's just me, crazy old Reagan.
Just goofing around. Look, hey, they've got a beautiful set in this film.
They do. Oh, my gosh.
And this is it here.
Look at that.
What a great set. Because it's all happening there. And when you talked about being a parody, it does give off a bit of Doctor Strangelove vibes.
It does.
Just a touch of it, doesn't it?
That's $1 million set, by the way. It was one of the most expensive sets that had ever been made back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Well, certainly it's used quite a lot. It's a great way to
Oh,
stage
yeah.
it. And it looks... When you look at it now, you go, this is so unbelievable. There's certain things that you see and you go, that's just... But still, it still looks believable. I could still buy that if that was in there in 83.
I have stood at... many years ago, the facility's been closed down, but I have stood in one of those rooms.
Oh, really?
It's a little bit smaller scale, but it was remarkably similar. As a matter of fact, whenever I went into this room, it was the Pave Pause facility in outside of El Dorado, Texas. It's been closed down for a while, but it was an early missile detection system. And I walked in and I said, "Wow, this looks like War Games." And the people who were there was like, "Yes, it does.
It does.
It does look like War Games." And the Johnson Space Center in Houston looks very similar as well. Again, it's a little bit smaller. They made this one very big and expansive for the movie. But yeah, I find this set very believable.
Look, we won't spoil the ending, but it really pays off in the ending, I think.
It does. Oh, such a great ending. And such a great way to use the set, too.
Yes. It becomes... Well, because in a way, it's a character. Like that set becomes the character. It's really great.
That's something I think that we have lost in recent years with CGI sets and everything, is that you really don't have sets that are characters anymore. No. War Games without this set would not be War Games. But imagine something like Avengers Endgame and all of the fake sets that are always behind them. Thanos' spaceship, for example. Who remembers the inside of Thanos' spaceship? But if they built a physical set instead of just that big CGI thing, more people would remember it. More people remember the inside of the Enterprise than they do than they do Thanos' ship, because there was no
I would
elegance
never
to
get
it.
lost on the Millennium Falcon, put it that way.
No, I don't think I would either.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, absolutely. We saw a bit more of it there, that clip where they were actually showing another simulation happening because of the games being activated. And that's where it really starts to get interesting, doesn't it? I mean, you talk about accidental kind of thing. Who hasn't been in there playing a game? You imagine you're just playing a game, thinking everything's right, but you don't know you're actually triggering what could potentially be Armageddon. It's pretty kind of great. And the good thing, about this movie, it's very US forces, US government friendly, this film. This is very pro-government.
It is.
Very pro
in the Cold War, it would not have gone any other way.
Yeah. So, especially where they get in pretty quickly, don't they? Because he's walking out of the shop. Oh, sorry, wrong clip. There's a clip where he's walking out of the shop, I believe, and the two FBI judges grab him straight away, and they take him all the way to, the set. Very confusing, though. And it also shows, to me, it's pro-government, but it kind of highlights some of the issues that you can have in that government, where they just grabbed this underage kid and they just shipped him to some secret location.
He broke into the nuclear weapons computer. I mean, they weren't going to say...
You want to tell his mom and dad, though, what you're doing?
The fact that we don't see his mom and dad again makes me think that the government...
Ooh,
I'm just saying.
I'll go with that.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Is this the thing? No, this is not the thing. But this is close to what I wanted to talk about.
Again, look at the reflection in the monitor. Look at the reflection in the monitor. Yeah. It looks so good. They did not have to go that hard. I love that. I love that shot composition.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else does as best open mouth than Matthew Broderick, doesn't he? He does open mouth look very well.
I don't know. The cast of Jurassic Park is pretty good at it.
They do a little bit of open mouth as well.
They're going to catch some mosquitoes that way.
But basically that scene is he goes in. It dawns on him at some point, before that scene, that, holy crap, this is associated with what's on the news. And he gets captured. He gets put away kind of thing.
Right after the scene where Ali Sheedy tells him, don't worry about it. They're not going to get you. They get him right after that. And that's that humor that I love so much.
Their chemistry, though, they don't actually have a lot to say to each other.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. It's just really the energy of those young actors in that. You buy in. You don't ever see anyone in this film who's a performer and not buy into their role. Everyone is uber believable. From Dabney Coleman to the general that we saw there, who's been an actor for like 60-odd years.
Oh, yeah. He always plays those types. Yeah.
Yeah. Dabney Coleman was in his prime here, I reckon.
He was. Oh, he was so great.
Coming off 9 to 5. He was just but he's not a D-bag in this film.
No, he's not. Really not.
He's probably... And I like the fact, because in the beginning, they were going to paint him out as to be the vanilla. We take humans out of the equation. And that's how they start off that conversation. But you go, no, he's not trying to say we're going to let computers run it. He was just trying to make the pipeline far more direct between the decision maker and the action. So I wasn't against what he was saying as a villain.
It was definitely not an anti-technology movie. It was not anti-computer. It was just, we just need to make sure that we still have humans in the equation movie. Computers are helpful, but they can't run everything.
Well, it's also the realization is the biggest error you have could be human error, but the only thing that could save us is that human error.
That's right.
A human decision. So, very good stuff. And this movie moves. It's 2 hours long. And it moves very quick.
It does.
Yeah.
But it also has the nice, quiet moments, too. It has actually one of my favorite monologues in it, and that is Matthew Broderick talking about how he always thought there would be time to learn how to swim. And it's so heartfelt and so sad, and it's that moment where they're at their lowest, and he just laments over the fact that I always thought I'd have time to swim. I always thought I'd have time to learn how to swim. And it's such a great scene. And I love that this movie stopped long enough to do that.
This is another beautiful scene too. This is a real great scene. And this is where they find the creator of Joshua. And, you know, they go ask him for help. But he gives them this whole wonderful monologue about maybe it's time for us to go.
Yeah, I've had that thought every now and again.
Yeah, but, you know, we've had our time. Evolution has got us to this point. Maybe it's kind of time for it to be over. You know, and you got to remember, he doesn't change his mind until he gets hooked into the game of it all at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing I noticed about that scientist. He only intervenes when he is talked to by Joshua. Besides that, he was ready to let the world burn.
Oh, he was still going to, because he was just like, "Go ahead, Matthew Broderick. What do we do next? What do we do next?" He knew exactly what to do next. He was gonna let Matthew Broderick decide the fate of the world.
He was he was goading him, wasn't he? He really
was. He was.
But
he should have been arrested at the end. It's like, how dare you know all the answers and put the lives of all these people on this boy? You're going to jail.
Yeah.
You're going to super secret jail where no one will ever find you again. Everybody thinks you're dead anyway.
Films from this period have this. We're done. Roll credits. And this film does suffer a little bit of that, where we get to the point, and we'll go back and talk about the ending because it's so good. But the moment this film is done achieving its target, within 10 seconds, credit is rolling.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, well saved, we're out. Let's get out of here.
One of the most amusing things about the ending is that Matthew Broderick and the General hug. Yeah. And I just think, where did that come from? These two are not on that personal of a level. It should be a handshake at best, but no, it's like a full body hug, like, you know.
And you got Dabney Coleman, you know, interrogating that kid and not liking that kid at the end. He goes to Matthew Broderick, just, you know.
Yeah, tosses his hair, and it's like,
oh, you goofy kid.
Goofy. And, you know, Broderick does it right back.
He almost destroyed the planet.
Yeah.
You still have questions for him, right?
He almost destroyed the planet, but look how adorable he is. Let's get him a present.
But I tell you what, the way they resolve this film, this problem of the countdown timer going on the global thermal nuclear war, it's got a great setup with the fact that they realise, oh, it's not really happening in real life. It's over.
Yes.
It's over. And then it's not over. And then the way they do it is to go back to that concept of tic-tac-toe was just so good. And then it can't win. So we get into this. And this is so great, Jason, isn't it?
It is. It's such a great ending. Such a great climax. I love it.
They actually chose the right bit of music for this one because it works so well. And it just keeps going and going and going and going. And nobody knows. Although there's a couple of reactions here where I think you're being a bit early, aren't you? You've got Matthew Broderick at one point. He's smiling and this is happening. The doctor's smiling and I'm going, yeah, I'm a bit more like Dabney there. I don't think I'd be 100%. You know, he's smiling. He could still find a way. He could have won and then launched it still.
Could you imagine that ending is like Whopper comes up and says, I have defeated Russia. Russia is gone. What? Like, for real? Yes, I destroyed them 20 minutes ago. Oh, okay. Now what? Now you are all my slaves.
Yeah.
One thing about the ending that I think is great, and the entire movie I think has this incredible pace, and that is because this movie employs the ticking clock in such an effective way. It's always going back to that clock. You don't really know what it's counting down to, but you always get this sense of dread as those numbers disappear. And then as soon as that clock's over with and you think everything's fine, they start another clock with the code on the screen with him trying to find all the numbers. And you have the woman sitting there saying, you know, it's got 2 numbers, it's got 3. I love the tension, and it's done so well. That's something I remember about this movie from the 80s whenever I saw it, was how much anxiety that gave me. And watching it again, I thought, oh, it's coming back. There's the anxiety. Oh, that crazy woman.
They throw an extra layer of tension with the DEFCON sign as well.
Yes. Yeah, there's always a sign.
There's always something driving it. So they're putting layers of tension on this. The editor did an amazing job.
Indeed.
Because he got the pacing and the storytelling done so well. Yeah, like it's great. I would say my criticisms about the ending being the film's done, we're out, is would have liked to have seen a little bit of an after effect. What happened to the Doctor? What happened to Matthew Broderick? You know, did he go from there and get the job straight at Project X?
They they took him out back and.
That's my theory. This film, Project X, is a sequel to this film. That's what I'm saying.
There is a sequel. It was a direct-to-video sequel. I've never seen it. I've never heard of it, but there is a sequel. So, yeah, if you are feeling brave enough to see the sequel to War Games, it is out there somewhere in the ether. All I can say is good luck. Yeah. I will not be joining you.
No, it'd be pretty hard to kind of make a compelling story now because we're all so well learned on technology, and it'd be about AI, right? Every film is doing AI. Seen the latest Mission Impossible film, anybody? AI the villain. Yeah. Like AI is everywhere. But this is AI. This is probably the second time I remember seeing an AI at that stage, from my memory. I'm sure there's been lots of films with it. But for me, it was like 2001. I can't do that. To this, where you've got a kind of fully functional kind of AI. Isn't it weird? It took them 40 years, and now we've kind of, that is really a pseudo-reality. Like, there is software we can talk and dialogue with now. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. I could see a sequel to War Games being made today with, adult old man Matthew Broderick dealing with an artificially intelligent computer trying to take over like the infrastructure or something like that. I don't know. I think there's a possibility of like a legacy sequel,
there, but
I'm not crazy about the idea.
No, I think I love the fact I didn't even know there was a sequel, so you broke my heart to tell me that.
Sorry.
But I always love the fact that this was kind of a standalone, just a great 80s film. Like it's definitely, if you have a list of 80s film, a lot of people go to the cheese. I mean, I'm guilty of that. Everyone goes to the things that kind of outrageous. But this is a great, great 80s film that still holds up. We have forgotten to thank the person for this. And I should do this now. I'm terrible this week. But we've got to thank Aaron Sugar, who did recommend, have we done War Games yet? And the answer was no.
No,
we have
no,
now.
We have not. Yes, we have.
We have now.
So I hope you're satisfied, Aaron.
I hope you're satisfied. It was a good one because, you know what? I don't know when I would have gone back and seen this if it wasn't for that recommendation. So thank you, Aaron.
I probably would not have seen it. The sequel to War Games, by the way, is called War Games: The Dead Code, and it was released in 2008.
Wow. Okay.
That was in that period where MGM was basically taking every property they had and dumping direct-to-video sequels to everything. So, yeah, to various degrees of success. And by that, I mean everything was terrible.
Yeah. No, nothing worked, did it? It's just like they didn't learn from the Disney straight to... Yeah, I don't care.
Disney made a ton of...
Great.
Disney made a ton of money off that. They don't care.
Yeah.
Like, quality, nothing. It was just they unionized, and Disney was like, "Oh, we don't want to do this anymore." Then, I'm Disney.
There you go. No, but it stands tall. This film was really well made. Only thing I would change now is I'd love to go back and rescore this. That would take musical talent, which I have none. So I'm not going to be doing that. But yeah, great film, great recommendation. What a hoot! War Games is something, like I said earlier in this review. It's aged, but not badly.
No, it's a
technology doesn't bring it down.
It's gone from being a cutting-edge science fiction movie to being a quaint period piece that still works, and I love it.
All about miscommunication.
Yeah, and I did take something about this movie personally, though, and that was whenever they were talking about Dr. Falcon, and they said, "Oh, he died. He died. He was so young. He was 41. Oh, well, he wasn't that young." Oh,
I love that line. I loved it. It was so well. That's Yeah, everyone on the crew thought that was kind of a giggle.
Yeah, I also got to say, Ali Sheedy and Matthew Broderick, most of the time in these movies, you have people who aren't teenagers playing teenagers, and they don't make very convincing teenagers. I don't know how old these two were whenever they made this movie, but they were very convincing teenagers. So I really enjoyed it.
Teenagers. They're very young-looking kids. Definitely early in their career. And I wondered when I was watching, going, did she do Breakfast Club right after this?
I think she would have, and then she would have done. She would have done Short Circuit, which is a great movie. Was she in From the Hip with Judd Nelson? I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
You remember that film?
No.
Yeah. That'll land on the wheel one day. It's a Judd Nelson courtroom comedy movie, and it's great.
I've never heard of it. I'll have to look that up.
We'll have to look that up. Well, that's it, guys. That's been War Games. Absolutely loved it. Don't forget again to like, subscribe, all that in these movies. We also want recommendations, don't we, Jace? We
Indeed.
want people to be telling us what we should do next.
I love the cheese. Send me all the cheese you got.
I must admit, I'm feeling pretty cheese deficient at the moment, so I would like extra cheese myself.
Yes.
So we want it dripping off the plate.
Yeah.
Send it through, and then Jason's clever scientific team will get together and make the choice. All right? And do we have one of the scientists local by any chance? Who's going to assist us?
Come here. All right. Yes.
Go. Yep, one of the lead scientists of the crew who will be deciding the fate of which movies we choose from the list that you guys create for us. There we go. Absolutely brilliant.
The feline decides.
Next time you see us on the VHS Vault, we will be back at Elm Street.
Yes.
We've got to go back, Jason.
We got to go back. Yes.
We've got to go back.
Yes, we're going to go to visit the Dream Master.
We are the Dream Master, and hopefully the Dream Master can take on that pesky red and green jumper dude who needs some skincare done.
Yeah,
hopefully they can sort that out. Until then, I've been Jason. That's been Jason. That's Damona.
This is Murder Bean, fat and fluffy.
Oh, damn it! They're so lookalike. I can never figure it out.
I did have Damona a second ago, but I put her down and picked this one up because this one was feeling left out.
Oh well. All right, that's been it from the VHS Vault. I've been VHS Jason. That's Jason Roy Gaston. Check us out all over social media. We'll see you next time. There you go.
All right.
I'm gonna get some lunch, something to eat.
What do you eat in Australia? Is it still kangaroo meat you find on the side of the road?
Yeah, mate. Oh, kangaroo meat's really tasty. Bit gamey, but it works. It's all right.
Yeah.
But the butthole, really chewy. You don't go for the butthole. Which
y'all are like vultures. It's crazy.
Yeah, we are. Don't mess with us. But I got to go, man. There's koalas are messing out the backyard again.
Okay, well, watch out for the chlamydia.
Bloody